Good evening, my name is Odie Hawkins, and once again, it's Tuesday evening, and I'm reading some of these old columns from this column I had in the African Times newspaper back in 1996 to 1999, and they're getting to be fun and fun and fun. Have I shown you my latest book?
Show it to me again, please.
This is called Quadroon Balls.
Quadrant balls.
And it's about that particular piece of business that they had going on in New Orleans back in the 18th century.
Piece of business?
Yeah, well, you know, it was a piece of business.
Are those white women?
Excuse me?
Are they white women?
No, these are so-called quadroon women.
Quadroon. Oh.
They probably were white women with a shot of black blood in them.
Oh.
But since they had that much black blood in them, they had to be considered quadroons.
Oh.
You know, like octoroons.
All right. Something,
something
in the skeleton closet. Or the closet.
You're right on it. You're right on it.
All right. Okay.
Hey.
If you didn't know, you would know. Okay.
You dig it?
Okay. Where can it be purchased?
Oh, this can be purchased at, do you know?
I believe it's on Amazon.
Amazon.com.
Or just put in the title, either your name, Odie Hawkins, or Quadrant Balls and Bright Moments.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Fantastic. So,
I think it's a good read.
I know it's a good read.
Okay, without, as my friend Jean Bolan used to say down at Inner City,
here we go.
Without further ado.
All right. Trying to adjust the camera here to just...
Okay, no problem.
All right, there we go.
Without further ado.
Go right ahead.
Like I said, I'm reading these columns, and the reason I'm reading these old columns is to see how much pertinency they have to today. Sometimes I think we've been on parallel tracks every 10 years or so. It's like the same thing starts happening, or every 15, 20 years ago, it seems like the same thing starts happening. Okay, in this case, with this particular column, it starts off by having me take a trip to Cancun, Mexico, courtesy of Mr. Charles Anyiam, the editor-in-chief of the African Times, who said, Odie, how would you like to go to Mexico for a week? Well, yeah. So, okay. And I found out the political reason for it was that the hotel industry in Cancun was feeling like they were about to suffer because Hurricane Mitch had come through there, and they were afraid they're going to lose the places exist for tourism. So if no tourists, no life, no money. So they were willing to. There were two travel writers from up north, can't think of their names, and several other people from different places. And they were giving us a free stay at something called a Hotel Caesar. Posh.
Yes.
And so that's where this is taking place, and this is a little bit of what happened.
Please.
I call it Discovering the Beauty of Cancun.
I
was on Aeromexico flight number 491 to Mexico City before the reality of the moment sank in on me. Cancun, Mexico. Yucatan. I was on my way to one of the most historically rich sections of Mexico, out of the world and of the world. No doubt in my mind that the trip was surely the result of hundreds of hours of dreaming and thinking that I've done about this section of Mexico for many years. I used to go back and forth to Mexico in the good old days before the cartels could go get my VW, drive down Highway 15, Ciudad Obregón, Los Mochis, over the hill, take a peek into Guadalajara, and finally Mexico City. I like doing that. I did it 3-4 times a year. And then, of course, the cartels came.
Okay.
So, when I was invited, I jumped on the stick. No doubt in my mind that the trip was surely the result of hundreds of hours of dreamy thinking that I've done about this section of Mexico for many years. On a more prosaic level, there was the opportunity that the editor-in-chief of the African Times, Mr. Charles Anyiam, dangled in front of my typewriter that placed me on the plane. How would you like to go to Cancun? All expenses paid to do a story. I didn't have to suffer ambiguous notions for longer than a second.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I want to go. I was practically on my way with the reaffirming facts. We, the travel editor of La Opinion, and 2 other travel writers from publications in Northern California were going to be given 5 days at the Caesar Park Hotel in Cancun, a world-class establishment by anyone's measure. The reasons why we were being invited were not totally unpolitical. The hotel industry in Cancun and the surrounding area is totally dependent on tourism. And there were a number of tourists, corporate entities, who had canceled their winter junkets because of hurricane fear and poor geographical studies.
Mm.
The hurricane that devastated Honduras and nearby areas didn't blow a puff of wind at Cancun. But that's not what the executive read in their reports.
Mm-hmm.
They took misplaced site bites from CNN and other media and came to their own conclusion. Let's jump out in front of this.
Right.
The 4 of us were going to be given Barrera seats to reaffirm that Cancun, the Caesar Park, and the surrounding areas were unaffected by Hurricane Mitch. We may have had reservations, but we were delighted to be able to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Aeromexico 579 to Cancun, Mexico City to Cancun and back to the future. I felt myself being transported forward to an incredible ancient story. The Yucatan, Cancun, Quintana Roo, Mayalum, they call it Mayalum, land of the Mayas. The Caesar Park Hotel complex, complete with the Tiger Woods class golf course, was going to offer us superb accommodations, world-class cuisines, Mexican, Japanese, Italian, and international.
Mm-hmm.
And an ambiance that only a Swiss hotel keeper like Director General Peter M. Leder and a communications manager like Lucia Saminago da Trevino could offer. No problem was too great for them to solve, including the bad rap that Hurricane Mitch laid on their turf. But that wasn't my primary concern. I had already delved into the weather reports and results, and they clearly showed me via computer printouts that Cancun was one of the most desirable places on earth to visit. Mitch wasn't coming close to it.
Okay.
That's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
My fixation was on the area that I had been invited to visit, one of the most sophisticated cultures of pre-Columbian America. I felt that my visit to Yucatan, to Mayalum, would have to be categorized very mysterious, or maybe profoundly mysterious. Of course, we all know mysterious refers to circumstances that seem beyond human comprehension. In many ways, the incredible genius that characterized the Mayan city-states is labeled mysterious because it beggars the modern imagination. Consider, way back when European science at its peak was filled with superstitious notions, the Mayan civilization was creating incredibly accurate calendars, making astral discoveries, and living in sophisticated cities with large populations. Chichen Itza, Tulum, Uxmal. The X has a ish sound. Mexico has an X in it. Palenque, Chakumpuntuan, Xtampak, Cozomel, Cancun. They were the greatest builders of their time. Nowadays, the names of their complex city-states are mostly of interest to archaeologists and touristas. But during the Spanish invasion, one of them described the country with these words: the whole country looked like one city. The Mayas created immense temple cities that were religious civic centers. They used lime mortar and cut blocks of stone with stone axes. Talk about rocks and hard places. Many of the buildings that they erected, now called ruins, have been excavated and studied, but there are still many others remaining hidden in the jungles of the Yucatan. The Mayas developed a sophisticated form of writing, yet left no explanation as to why they abandoned their temple cities. Palenque in Mexico and Tikal in Guatemala, for example, the empire ran all the way down through Central America.
Mm-hmm.
A spiritually mature friend suggests, without smiling, that they may have returned to the planet they came from, leaving a small rear guard on Earth. Astounding architectural achievements, astronomical sophistication, spiritually powerful, great navigators. They may have visited the west coast of Africa. Entrepreneurs, politicians, historians, warriors. Maybe they were from somewhere else. Today, the Mayas are one of the largest groups of Native Americans in the New World, whose dialects belong to the same linguistic family. 2 million Mayas, the supernatural rear guard, still live in the Yucatan Peninsula and in nearby Guatemala, and they remain rebellious Indians. In any case, looking at a closer reality, the Mayas fought the Spanish invaders for 200 years. For 200 years, from 1519 to 1696, and continued to resist foreign domination. The last major resistance, in 1947 in the Yucatan Peninsula, was called the War of the Castes, pitting the Indian Mayas against oppressive mestizo Mexican rule. The Native Americans, well, the battle goes on. And too soon, my trip was over, and it was time to come back to the city of the angels.
Sure.
But I would suggest to anyone, if you had the time and you wanted to make the effort, go to Mayalum.
Mayalum.
Mayalum. Mayalum. Doesn't that sound similar?
Yes.
Mayalum.
Yes.
And that's all I have to read this evening.
Okay, your website, newly designed, is still www.odiehawkins.com. Thank you, Mario of Azteca, and thank all those that have contributed to your success.
Okay, great.
All right, and with that,
It
Nis.